Today I'm kicking off the new year with a look at the Marvel Legends Secret Wars Wolverine, and of course I'm also going to be trying out loads of Logan head swaps. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation and 2025. Just a heads up, I do have a cold, so if I sound a bit off today, that's why. Started with the packaging, and we previously saw this retro card with Iron Man. Hasbro has done a great job of recreating that classic Mattel artwork. Flipping it around, we get some comic artwork of Wolverine, a bio, all the available figures in the wave, and then again down here are instructions for swapping out the artwork on his lenticular shield. For those searching in stores, here's the UPC, and while nothing beats the collector friendliness of a window box, the goal was to recreate something classic, and in that regard, Hasbro knocked it out of the park. For packaging, I'm giving Secret Wars Wolverine 5 points. Moving on to presentation, and Wolverine stands at 5 5/8 inches, or 14.5 centimeters, which is perfect given that Logan is supposed to be 5'3", and he's near complete reuse, combining most of the body from X-Men 97, which itself shares parts with older Wolverine figures, along with the belt from the original Brown and Tan. That said, calling this figure Brown and Tan does feel kind of like a misnomer. It's really more terracotta and yellow, but that's just to better match it with the original Secret Wars figure. This was the very first Wolverine figure ever made, and also the reason why that front stripe is so narrow. I'm guessing it's also the reason why the new one is smiling. The thing is, that more yellow color scheme is going to come in really handy later with head swaps. I'm delighted to finally be getting a smiling Wolverine head. Of course, it's more of a cocky smirk, but that's what happens when you're the best there is at what you do. Otherwise, the only difference between this and 97 are the shoulders and biceps. The shoulders on 97 have peg holes to accommodate the pauldrons. I'm not sure if this shoulder's new, but there are plenty they could have chosen from. But I was surprised to see that the actual biceps are different. Looking at 97, you'll notice that the hair is sculpted on, but Secret Wars also has veins. I don't have every Wolverine they released this year, so I don't know if that's new. All I can tell you is that they don't come from here. Also, I'm happy to see that they painted the arm hair, though I do think they did a better job on astonishing. Obviously, the new figure reminds me a lot of Secret Wars. More importantly, it reminds me of the Pride of the X-Men animated special, which was my introduction to X-Men and to Wolverine. While it's not my mind's eye version of the comic Brown and Orange, for presentation, I'm giving Secret Wars Wolverine 5 points. Moving on to Posability, and we've already seen what this Wolverine can do, but it's always worth revisiting. From the top, and his head's on a ball joint and a disc swivel, so he has much better range looking up than with a dumbbell. Here he is looking straight and burying the chin on that Batman-like profile. The trade-off with not having a dumbbell is you don't get the same kind of tilt, but of course you do have side-to-side. Moving on down, and Wolverine can raise his arms over 90 degrees. He's also got forward and back thanks to a butterfly joint, and of course complete rotation. Working our way down the arm, and Wolvie has bicep swivel, pinless double-jointed elbow with a 45-degree bend, and wrists that can swivel and hinge up or down. Move into the middle, and Logan has an ab crunch and a waist swivel. He can arch back this far, which is okay. For context, here he is standing straight, but thanks to the ab crunch, he can hunch forward this far, which is uncanny. No tilt, of course, but he does have twist. Below the belt, and this furball has ball-jointed hips. He can kick this high, bend this far back, and has a near-perfect split. Traversing down the leg, and he has thigh cut, double-jointed knee with a pretty good bend, boot cut rotation, and then all the way down, he's got ankles that can hinge, and like Wolverine, from Tiger Stripe to Brown and Orange to Tiger Stripe again, pivot. The only thing that could have made this guy better is a diaphragm, so for Posability, I'm giving Wolverine 4 points. Moving on to Playability, and this is where the fun really begins. The first thing I'd like to direct your attention to is this unmasked head. 2024 was a great year for unmasked Logan heads, and I haven't even gotten my pre-orders for Deadpool and Wolverine yet. It's really amazing just how many different ways you can interpret this guy's face. As long as the broad strokes are there, they can all feel right. It's not my favorite, but it's still pretty cool. Now, throughout the video, we've been looking at these fists without the claws, but you gotta know he comes with a pair of clawed hands. Those are the same as X-Men 97, which means that they're pretty straight and snug and not likely to fall off. That said, it also means that they are not swappable with other custom options. Either way, I hope we can agree that we've come a long way since the snap-on blades of the original 1984 figure. Speaking of the original 1984 figure, it came with a lenticular shield, and so does the new 2024 figure. The artwork is different, different, but the spirit's the same, and Hasbro did a really good job matching the design and color. If you want, you can swap that out for a special Secret Wars 40th anniversary one. But playability is more than just shields and hands, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. Starting with the only other Secret Wars figure I've looked at so far, and here's Iron Man. But for his fellow X-Men, here's Wolverine with 97 and Dark Phoenix 2-packs versions of Cyclops. Really hoping Hasbro gives us an updated version of this guy. Next up is 97 and Love Triangle 3-pack versions of Jean Grey. Retro Card and Thunderbird 2-pack versions of Storm. Retro Card and Sweatin' to the Oldies versions of Rogue. Retro Card Remy LeBeau, Jim Lee style Beast, and the Juggernaut 2-pack version of Colossus. For a couple of other X-ladies I associate with this style of Wolverine, and here's Dazzler and Psylocke. Similar to Cyclops, and this Psylocke is in desperate need of an upgrade, but for the Wolverine Junior fan club, and here's Kitty Pryde and Jubilee. Veering into villainy, and here's the X-Men 97 version of Magneto, but for more Wolverine-specific villains, and here's 85 Years and Marvel Select versions of Sabretooth. If, however, you prefer your Victor Creed a bit more classic, here's that version in Marvel Select. Next up is the adamantium-skinned, poison-fingered Cyber, and lastly, Logan's former love, Lady Deathstrike. For a relative scale comparison, here's Wolverine with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. You know, it's funny how I don't have legs, but I'm still more than half your size. You know, it's funny how much shorter you'd be without a head. Of course, there's nothing wrong with your height. That's what I thought, bub. Of course, I know what you're here for are the head swaps. First up, and here's the retro card, brown and orange. Unless you're okay with the mask being yellow, this isn't really gonna work. Not that it would be hard to paint, mind you. That said, the new Logan head on the old body isn't half bad. Only problem is that the skin tones don't match. At the very least, it does look better than this. Next up is the Love Triangle 3-pack. The yellows here are a great match. The skin tones, unfortunately, not so much. Again, because of the yellows, it's pretty good other way around, though the differences are a bit more striking here. I do like the new Logan head on this body, but again, you gotta watch out for those skin tones. And again, at least it looks better than this. For one that I'm a bit more optimistic about, and here's the training uniform from Uncanny X-Men 275. If you wanted to give the training uniform a mask, you could, and it would look okay, but mostly I'm excited to see this head on this body. As my preferred unmasked Wolverine, I think this works really well, and even the skin tones aren't that different. The nice thing about this one is the alternate snarly head. For those wondering how the new Logan head would go on this body, here you go. I don't personally like it as much, but if you do, more power to you. The nice thing is that because this Wolverine has sleeves, you don't have to worry about skin tones. For another brown and tan, and here's the Crucified Logan from the Wolverine 5-pack. Looking at it this way, you can tell the difference in the skin tones, but this way around, and you'll hardly notice. This serves as a really great battle damaged option. It also benefits from having an alternate screaming version. The good news is that if you don't want to track down the 5-pack, you can get that head with the Bonebreaker Wave version. The skin tone is a little bit different, but definitely close enough. Leastways, it's a better match than the yellows. This one's practically neon, so unless you plan on doing some painting, a mask swap is not going to work. A Logan swap will. Just bear in mind that the face is going to be a bit peachier than the arms. Moving on, and we've got to bring out the 97 version. The yellows are close enough in natural light that if you wanted to make this work, you could. Again, the arms are different, but if you went in to paint the arm hair and either gave the face a matte finish or the arms a gloss, I think you could cheat it. It doesn't really work the other way around, but I'd bet my bottom dollar we're gonna get a brown and tan for X-Men 97 since it's what he wore in the finale. As for the Logan head, that's way too different here. Same thing this way around. For something bigger and more realistic, here's the Legacy Edition Hugh Jackman. Seeing this just makes me hope we get a movie version of the brown and tan. That's because, as usual, this doesn't really work. That said, this definitely doesn't work. Not only do the skin tones not match, this head is much too small for this body. For what might just be my favorite 2024 Wolverine, again until I get a hold of this one, here we have the 85 Years Astonishing version. The yellows are a great match, and the skin tones aren't half bad either. Granted, the shorter ears and seam running down the middle are different from what we normally associate with brown and orange, but it still makes for a pretty fun combo. Not only that, but I much prefer this Logan, and it works just fine here. If you want wanted to, this could work, but it is just a bit small for my taste. Lastly, and here we have Civilian Logan from the Saber-Tooth 2-pack. Pretty sure you're not looking for this, same as you're not looking for this. Instead, the more helpful swap is this one. Again, it's fine, but a bit on the small side, and begins to reveal my frustration with this head. In general, this assortment of Logan heads is perfect, so much so that the cowboy heads even go along with it. Instead of a new head that's merely okay and doesn't really go with anything, I'd have much preferred a new expression to go along with this set. Maybe a smiling head to go along with this. I'm not saying this is bad, just a missed opportunity. In general, I'm happy with the accessories, and again, it's a nice addition to the Pride of the X-Men version of the team. Boosted by the head swap potential and for playability, I'm giving Wolverine 5 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Admittedly, Secret Wars Wolverine isn't quite as loaded as Iron Man, but this figure has more new pieces and, more importantly, more paint apps. As of this recording, every place I've looked online except for GameStop is sold out, but don't lose heart. This wave is only just now hitting stores, so don't go running to the aftermarket just yet. Even so, and based on availability, for price, I'm giving Wolverine 4 points, averaging out to a very good total of 4.6 out of 5. For more Wolverine videos, check out one of these, and until next time, play nice, have fun, and Happy New Year!